Good morning, everyone. In this IXL video, we are going to be working on assignment AA5. So find the number of solutions to a system of equations. And that shortcut code is UYM. This entire assignment focuses on you deciding how many solutions the system has by inspection. So what that means, if we think about the word inspection, well, if you're a detective, you inspect something. If you're a scientist, you inspect something. Or maybe you're going shopping and you're inspecting the clothes to make sure that there aren't any tears or rips, or you're inspecting the produce to make sure you can get the best bunch of bananas possible. But if you inspect something, you look closely at it. That's our focus here. We're going to talk about some tips and tricks that you can use to just be able to look at those and know whether it's no solution, one solution, or infinitely many, and have to do either little to no work to figure it out. Doesn't that sound awesome, having a math assignment where you have to do little to no work? Sounds pretty cool to me. All right, before we actually start working on this, let's go ahead and review those tips and tricks, review what it looks like for an equation for every single type of solution. To do that, we're going to review this little cheat sheet. Remember, I have put this cheat sheet up on OMHS, so you can download that PDF, you can print it, so you can have this up and have it for reference as you're working on the IXL assignment. All right, we have a table here, and if we look across the top, we have a section for everything to look for when it's going to be one solution, everything to look for no solution, and last but not least, infinitely many. And there's three most common forms. One is what it will look like as a graph. Two, slope-intercept form, which is primarily this assignment, AA5. And then once you get into the challenge zone, you may have a few that are in standard form, okay? All right, let's just start at the beginning with one solution, because this is the one we're most familiar with. One solution is what we've been working with up until this point. It is what you're going to receive 90% of the time. The only exception is if you're doing an assignment like this and it's trying to get you to figure out the three, then it's probably going to be split. One solution, when you graph it, is where your two lines intersect, because that solution, that answer, is where your lines cross. So that one single point, that ordered pair in X and a Y, is the solution, because that's where they cross. That's a shared point. So if you were to see a graph that looks like that, you could automatically say it's one solution. But let's focus on what it looks like as an equation before you graph it, since that's the focus of this assignment. If your equations are in slope-intercept form, the y equals mx plus b, all you have to really look for is, do your two lines have different slopes? Because if they have different slopes, that means they're moving at a different rate. Therefore, at some point in time, they will intersect, they will cross. Therefore, it's one solution. So if you notice that your two lines in slope-intercept form have different slopes, this first one has a slope of -3/4. The second one has a slope of 2. Those are different numbers. Therefore, they have different slopes and they're going to cross. It will be one solution. Now, if they're in standard form, this is one where you would have to do a little bit of work. So you would have to solve using elimination to discover whether or not they have one solution. This is a problem that we did last week. As you can see here, once you solve by elimination, so our y's eliminate, we add the equations and we find a value for x. Once you realize that you have a value for x, that means you technically could stop if all it wants to know is how many solutions, because by finding that x, you know that they're going to cross at some point in time. So you would therefore be able to just do a little bit of less work and say, all right, cool, it's one solution. All right, let's look at what it means for no solution. If a solution is where the lines cross, if it's a point that they share, no solution would mean they don't cross at all. So as a graph, they would be two parallel lines because parallel lines never intersect. So just by looking at that, if you see two lines are parallel, it is no solution. Well, if they're parallel, when you have them in slope-intercept form, what does that mean about their slopes? They're the same. Because in order for the two lines to never intersect, that means they must be moving at the same rate. And slope is our rate. Slope is how fast or how slow those lines are moving. If we look at our two equations here, notice that they have the same slope, but the y-intercepts are different. So they start at a different spot, but they move the same amount. Therefore, it will be no solution. This will be the focus for most of your IXL assignment. If you notice that the only thing they have in common is that the slope is the same, so the y-intercept is different, it will be no solution. Now, if you get into that challenge zone and you have some equations in standard form, thankfully, you don't have to do a whole lot of work, because if you start to eliminate them and both of your variables eliminate, and you come up with a false statement. So in this case, 0 equals negative 32. Is that true? No. So if your variables eliminate, they cancel out, and you have a false statement, that is going to be your signifier that it's no solution. So once again, this is a little bit of work, but it's not as much work as having to fully solve it. All right, let's look at our third and final type. If it's infinitely many solutions, that is when your two equations are the exact same line. Because if a solution is a shared point and they're the same line, they share all the points. And since your lines go forever and ever in both directions, it moves in both directions for infinity. That means you have infinitely many solutions because everything is a solution. Everything is shared. That's how it would look as a graph. Now in slope-intercept form, well, if they're the same line, that means they're identical. So the slopes are the same, the y-intercepts are the same, they match 100%. They are identical, they are the same line. If that's the case, it will be infinitely many solutions. Last but not least, if it's in standard form, so once you get to that challenge zone, once again, both of your variables will eliminate, but this time everything eliminates, even your number does. So you end up with a true statement of 0 equals 0. If that happens, that signifies infinitely many solutions. All right, let's go ahead and practice this, because I know that was a lot of information, a lot more than I normally share at the beginning of a video. But I wanted to make sure that we understand these different look-fors, so that way we can use them as a point of reference in the IXL assignment. All right, we want to know how many solutions does the system of equations below have? Our look-fors for no solution, remember, is that they're going to have the same slope. Our look-for one solution is that they will have different slopes. Our look-for infinitely many solutions, they have the same slope. So actually they're identical lines because they have the same slope and the y-intercept. So they're the same equation. All right, with those look-fors, I'm first going to look at the slope. Remember, our slope is our m. Y equals mx plus b. So that m, that number in front of your x, the coefficient, is our slope. Ooh. Are the slopes the same? They are. But are the equations the same? No, this is a 4 and this is a 5/6, which means they're not the same equation, but they do have the same slope. Therefore, it is no solution. All right, there we go, nice. right, let's try this next one. Ooh. Yeah, here we go. Sorry about that. So once again, if it's no solution, they have the same slope. One solution, they have different slopes. Infinitely many, they're the exact same equation. They're the exact same line. All right, I notice the slopes are the same. And the y-intercepts are different. Same slope means no solution. Very good. Let's try this one out. Once again, no solution is same slope. One solution, different slope. Infinitely many, the exact same line. All right, our slope is our m, so that number with our x. We have 6/7 and 1/8. Those are definitely different. They have different slopes, which means they're going to cross. It is one solution. All right, this will be our last one. No solution, same slope. One solution, different slopes. Infinitely many, the exact same line. All right, we have the same slope here. They both have a slope of 9. But we got to check the y-intercept because that'll help us know whether it's no solution or infinitely many. So we've already crossed off 1 because the slopes are the same. Ah, our y-intercepts are -7, which means these are the exact same line. If we kind of clear this out and circle it differently, this says y equals 9x minus 7. And my second one is y equals 9x minus 7. They're the exact same line, which means our answer is infinitely many solutions. All right, there we go. Hopefully this helped clear things up. And remember, like I said, if you haven't jotted down these notes, or if you're not remembering those 3 main look-fors, I have that little cheat sheet here loaded up onto OMHS that you can reference. All right, have a wonderful day. Let me know if you need anything. Bye.